Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to another episode. I hope you enjoyed the last episode where I talked about spirituality, just getting a few misconceptions out of the way and just making it a little bit more clear for people that are confused about spirituality, or maybe they've seen videos where people are doing tarot card readings, or they're doing some kind of spiritual practice, but they're hearing a bunch of different things and they don't really know who to listen to or where to go or what's even the truth. And so, in the last episode, which I hope that you guys will check out, it's literally if you're on YouTube, it's the video right below me. And if you're on Instagram, it's the video right next to me. But I wanted to go ahead and talk about addictive habits, because what normally comes to mind for you when you think of addiction? You think of drugs and alcohol, right? Or something that could be very detrimental to your well-being, but you just keep doing it, and it just continues to be this repetitive pattern, sometimes throughout your life, starting from when you were a child, or when you were a teenager, or whenever that little spark hit, you just couldn't keep yourself from doing it. You just kept doing it and kept doing it. But you can be addicted to anything, even if it's something that isn't necessarily bad for your health or could mean the end of your life. You could be addicted to drinking water. You could be addicted to video games, which video games, and I'm not a gamer at all, but I'm just I'm just spitting a random addictive habit that some people have. Some people are addicted to video games. Video games can actually be a very good habit for you if you keep it regulated. I think that video games can be really good for that resiliency that people need, to keep going. Because like once you miss like one or two tries, whatever video game you're playing, you just want to keep doing it, right, until you reach the next level. So I think, by and large, video games can be a very helpful tool for a lot of people, even though I'm not really a gamer at all. But you can be addicted to working. People tend to overwork because it's either because of a fear of something happening, like they start to go broke, or they start to lose all their money, or they start going crazy, because by having that excuse me, by having that time away from work and just being alone with themselves, or being alone with their family or their loved ones, like it can be too much for them, because they've never really faced whatever uncomfortable reality there is to their situation, whether it be like some kind of hurt or pain that they're holding on to, or some kind of resentment that they think that they've gotten over. A lot of people like to say that they've gotten over their parents hurting them or abusing them, or their babysitter hurting them or abusing them, or the kids at school bullying them and calling them names, calling them ugly, calling them stupid, or calling them a dork, or whatever it is. People often say that, oh well, you just pick up and move on, just keep it moving. And of course I know that they're full of shit, because You know, if you just pay attention to the way that they carry themselves and the way that they talk, and sure, they might they might appear confident, they might appear like they know what they're doing, but on the inside, they're hurting, and there's a lot of resentment that is just buried and is just waiting to burst out of them, you know, in some way, shape, or form. If you do not let all of that resentment come to the surface, it's gonna just pop out of you one way or another. You know, and it has to. You know, you're not going to have a choice about it. So you might as well deal with it. But that's why I don't mean to make this about overworking, but that's typically why people overwork. You know, and so, you know, you can be addicted to, you know, certain habits that, you know, could potentially either harm you or upend your life, or habits that can be really good for you. But the reason why I wanted to talk about your addictive habits is because actually they are the best friend that you're ever going to have. I know, right? It sounds kind of crazy coming out of my mouth, but it's true. There's a reason why you have these addictive habits. There's a reason why you struggle. You know, there's a reason why you struggle with bad habits. There's a reason why you struggle with good habit. You know, being addicted and obsessive about your good habits. There's a reason for all of it. And, you know, to tell you the truth, and, you know, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just going off of what I've observed in my own life, and with, you know, people that, you know, that have had addictions in their life, that have been addicted to drugs and alcohol. Typically, rehab, for the most part, I'm not saying for everybody, but for the most part, doesn't really work for a lot of people. And these AA meetings and, you know, like all this, you know, whatever kind of dogma is included in that. I just think in some ways it might do them more harm than good. And I'm just going off of what I've seen personally. I'm not talking about celebrities. I'm talking about people that I know personally that literally do struggle with drugs and alcohol, mostly hard drugs. Me personally, I've never touched a hard drug. I've never struggled with hard drugs. I've never even really struggled with alcohol. Maybe when I was in my early to mid 20s, alcohol was kind of a problem for me. But this was like just on occasion, you know, and whenever I got really, really drunk, I could either be just blatantly obnoxious, or I can be like just a complete dickhead. And, you know, so that's why I try to stay away from alcohol as much as I can. I'm not saying that I never touch a drink, but I'm not a big alcohol drinker. But I have, you know, over these last 2 years, I have struggled with weed, which I'm not necessarily saying is a bad thing. I think that marijuana is a very helpful plant for people that are struggling with pain or with, you know, PTSD or CPTSD. I think it can be a very helpful tool, and it certainly has been a very helpful tool for me in a lot of ways. Now, I will give myself this much credit, that I don't struggle with weed nearly as much as I did 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was taking edibles every night before I go to bed, and then woke up like 5 or 6 hours later. Don't ask me how I did it, but that's the way that I live my life on a day-to-day basis. Was that I took edibles every night before I went to bed because I had trouble sleeping. And there's just also something that's been going on in my life personally that I'm not going to get into too much detail over it, but it's something that has to do with some kind of a relationship. And I'm not saying whether it's romantic or platonic. I'm just leaving it as it is. I'm just leaving it to your guys' imagination. But I have really struggled with that, and it's gotten easier for me to confront and deal with. But it really, at the beginning, it was really, really hard. And I would take edibles or smoke a joint to, not always, but, most of the time it was to try to get away from that. And, I'm happy to say that I don't take edibles every night anymore. I haven't really done that in over a year. A year ago, I used to smoke a joint like once a week, and now I'm down to like maybe once, maybe 2 times a month, if even that. And I want to go ahead, and I know I got to wrap this up too. So I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. In that episode where I talked about quitting weed, which you guys may or may not have seen, or you probably don't even care, but I made a video about quitting weed. I'm done. Like I'm officially, I don't want to say that I said that I was officially done, but that like I would quit smoking weed for a long time or something like that. But then something hit. I found something out shortly after that video that really like kind of rocked my world. And it has to do with the relationship. And one night I was just having a really, really hard time regulating my emotions, and so I just went to the dispensary, got a joint, and I started to calm the fuck down. And it was really, really good for a while. So I want to just go ahead and come clean on this, that I never really quit smoking weed. I'm just being honest with you guys. I don't want to lie to anybody on here. And to be honest, looking back, I wasn't really quitting weed for the right reasons. I was quitting weed because I thought that if I just kept doing it and was obsessively or like I kept habitually doing it, that it would continue to like ruin my life or make me unproductive. Those are some very not so good reasons to quit anything. You want to quit because of something that is probing you to continue to do those things, to continue to make these things an addictive habit. And that is exactly why they are your best friend, because the addictive habit is trying to tell you something. It's trying to tell you, Matt, maybe there's something there that maybe you need to take a look at, maybe you need to look into. Maybe there's some underlying hurt, maybe there's some underlying pain that you're just not dealing with. And so that's why you keep coming to me to fill the void in your life. So that's why I say it's your best friend, and you have to keep working with these habits until you eventually get over them and quit cold turkey. But you never want to start off trying to quit these addictive habits cold turkey, because it's just going to backfire you. It's going to completely backfire on you in the end. So not a good idea to try to quit cold turkey. You have to work with these addictions. You have to listen to these addictions. What are these addictions saying to you? And then just go from there. And that is how I believe you can truly recover from those habits. So anyway, guys, I know I went on a long rant, but I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope it brought value, and if it did, share it with your friends and your family. But like I said, I love you, and I'll talk to you again next time.